Is it approximately 90 degrees outside? Yeah, it is, but I honestly don't care. I want to talk about fall books, and that's what we're going to do today. So here is a full stack of books that I think give an autumnal feeling that you would love for this new season. It's currently September 6th, and I don't care that fall technically starts on the 21st. It starts now in my head. This is my favorite season. I don't want to delay it any further, and I want to read some good books. So I'm going to give you all of my recommendations that I think you would love, and in return, I'd love if you could comment below some books that I have potentially not read yet that give you a perfect autumnal feeling. Yeah, we'll have a good reading season. Okay, hopefully that stack doesn't tip over. Now, before we even get started, I am just gonna say, in order of importance for me with books, it goes character, plot, then setting. So like atmospheric vibes in books is, in my head, in the setting category, and it's not something that I usually prioritize when I'm reading. I want fantastic characters and a fantastic plot first. So all these books I'm recommending today have a vibe of autumn, and in my head I associate them with autumn, but not many of them are like picturesque orange falling leaves, pumpkin spice latte, apple picking kind of vibes. Like I don't really read many atmospheric seasonal books like that. So maybe recommend one if you love one of those, but for me, this is not what you're gonna get from this list. Instead, you're gonna get books that, in my opinion, fit into the autumnal category in one way or another. I kind of divided this stack into three main distinctions. The first being academic fall, because in my head, the back to school season correlates with autumn. And then the next is warm, cozy fantasy vibes, because in my head fantasy always goes with fall. I read fantasy year round, but I think that it's best in the fall time. And then the third one are specifically like gothic atmosphere, dark vibes. I think the last couple of books on this stack are the ones that really emulate those warm, cozy vibes the most, but some of these may be a little questionable, so please hear me out on my thoughts on why they fit into the autumn theme before you start questioning my choices, because I think these all are great for the season. I don't know, you'll have to tell me in the comments below if you agree or not. Anyway, without further ado, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any book content from me, and let's get into it with the first book on this stack, which is The Atlas Six by Oliver Blake. This book is about the Alexandrian Society, or the Alexandrian Library, that technically right now is lost, but in this world there is a group called the Alexandrian Society who uses the library for studying magic, and every year they pick 6 initiates to come and learn about magic and train for a full year, and then at the end of the year only 5 of them can officially make it into the society. I'm trying my best, by the way, to like shorten the ways that I describe what books are about, because I just edited my August reading wrap up a couple days ago, and I can ramble about a book and like tell you what it's about longer than it takes to freaking read the back. So I need to like start making these a little shorter, but I think that was very concise, so pat on the back for me for that. This is prime dark academia fall book. I don't even know how to explain it, because again, there's no falling leaves, there's no warm coffee. It's just like the vibes of being in a dark library, studying magic, holding secrets from each other, potentially dealing with things like time travel or dream walking or things like that. Like those are the dark and cozy and slightly spooky vibes that I feel like go with the autumnal season, and this book has that in, what is the saying, like has that in full, has that, like has a lot of it. Girl, I don't know, I'm losing my mind. Anyway, the writing in this book is truly the best part in my opinion. I like a couple of the characters. Some of them do piss me off a little bit, I will not lie, but the writing is immaculate. This is my first book by Oliver Blake that I ever read, and I really do think that her writing style is a tad pretentious. Okay, I get it, but it also is just like very immersive and describing, and her vocabulary is incredible, but she also has some humor in it. So if you want a book that's going to make you really think, but also you will enjoy her writing style, pick up The Atlas Six, and then maybe you can do better than me and actually finish the trilogy, because I only picked up book 1, but maybe you'd actually enjoy the rest of them. The next book in the category of academic fall is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I just read this last month, so this is very recency bias for me, but in my opinion, this is a great book to pick up in the early fall when you're in that back to school mindset, because this follows our main character, Pip, who is a senior in high school, and her capstone project is to open up a closed murder/suicide case in her small town, and she's trying to prove to her town that the person they think is guilty in this case is actually innocent. The guy's name is Sal, and so she partners up with the guy Sal's brother, Ravi, to prove his innocence and actually solve the true culprit of this case. Murder mysteries, thriller book, books that kind of just in my head fits with late summer, early fall, when the days are getting shorter and again, spooky season is coming around the corner. And because this is also a capstone project, there's a lot of being in high school with Pip. This is a YA book, by the way. I haven't read many thrillers, but I had to put this one on the list because it just seems like a good book to read in like September, you know? And if you are interested in more thriller mysteries, then this might be a good one to pick up. But also, if you read a lot of thriller mysteries, you may have already picked this one up because it is very popular. I just don't read many. So this is the one that I recently read last month. Anyway, the murder mystery is interesting. I didn't guess the final plot twist, so you may not be able to either. And yeah, Holly Jackson for the win, I guess. Maybe you want to read this one in fall. The last book in this category is going to be very suspicious. I know it doesn't look like an autumnal book, and I understand that, but hear me out for 2 seconds, okay? The book that I'm choosing is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I know that this looks like a winter book, and it kind of is because ice skating and stuff like that. But besides that, this is really a school year book, in my opinion. And a lot of this book follows the characters as they go start classes and they go to Halloween parties and they do Thanksgiving together in like a big friend group. Like this, in my opinion, although it looks very wintry, has a lot of fall elements to it that are like cozy and friendly. It's just like a fun book to read during this season. This is the first book in the Maple Hills trilogy. We follow our main character, Anastasia, who goes by Stassi, and she is an ice skater. And then the guy is named Nate and he's a hockey player. And they used to have 2 different rinks that they could practice in on this college campus, but one of them gets like broken or trashed or something like that, so they have to get like repairs for it. And so the 2 teams are forced to now share one ice rink and like swap time and stuff like that. And in this process, him being the captain of the team and her being one of the main ice skaters get a lot more time together, and they have forced to work together, and a little romance blossoms from this. Now this is a very TikTok popular book. I'm sure you may have heard about the Uber scene, and I won't lie, it is quite spicy, just like the TikToks are saying. So if that's like a vibe that you're into, maybe you'd like it. If you don't like that, then maybe don't touch it. But in my opinion, although this is about ice skating, it's about the fall season mostly, because also, for example, hockey season, which I personally am always thinking about because I work with the hockey team at my actual university, most of it is during fall/winter, early winter. So if you like the hockey season and that reminds you of, you know, October, November, this would be another one to pick up. Now the rest of the series is still pretty good as well. I just think that out of the rest of them, this one reads the most autumnal, early winter in my opinion. But yeah, if you're mad at me for putting this in an autumn book, I'm sorry. You can save it for winter if it makes you feel better because the cover is very icy. But in my opinion, it kind of fits for both seasons. All right, the next category of books is going to be warm, cozy fantasy. Now, like I said earlier, essentially any fantasy book, in my opinion, fits for fall. Almost every single book on my shelf that I'm looking at, the fantasy shelves, I mean, if I had to pick a season to place them in, I would put them in autumn because, you know, forests and adventures and sword fighting and those kind of vibes give me autumn vibes. Yeah, it does. But if I had to just pick a couple that specifically make my heart warm and cozy, as if they are perfect to read with a cup of warm tea curled up in bed, these 3 books are the ones that you need to pick up if you haven't already. So the first on that list is Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. This is a twist on the trials trope that is so popular in fantasy right now, because instead of the main girl character being in the trials, instead she is the maidservant for the person that's going to be in the trials. So Kenna, our main character, is a mortal, but she gets taken to the Fae world, and instead of killing her, they basically are like, you can be the hand servant of this girl named, I think her name is Lana. I always forget her name, and I feel really bad because I do like her character. Okay, it's Lara with an R. Lara is a princess, and she needs to go through these trials to actually gain her powers and her immortality, and you can help her do so. There is a subplot, a small subplot of romance in this, but truly this is more fantasy than romance. And I really liked that about this book because too many books these days are so heavily romantasy, which is great, don't get me wrong, but this was like a fantastic plot first and really good female characters that I just adored reading about, and I think it would be great to curl up with during the autumn months. The magic system in this book is based on elemental magic, so we have earth, fire, light, void, illusion, and blood. So not like earth, water, fire, air. It's like slightly changed, but there is a lot more elemental influence in this magic system, so very easy to understand. But for some reason, like in my head, Lara, by the way, is in the earth house. Listening to them talk about earth magic and or like wearing earth-toned clothing and stuff like that gives me those autumn cozy vibes. And I feel like these different houses are so dedicated to their type of magic that they all really give off their own individual aesthetics. So yeah, it was really fun to read about, and overall I gave this a 4.5 star. I haven't really been talking about my ratings for these, but like this one, I'm so excited for the sequel to come out, which by the way, it comes out at the end of September. So this is a perfect time to read it as well because you can literally finish the duology in a matter of months months if you wait for book 2 to come out. So please pick this one up if you haven't already. It's so good, so underhyped, and I think it's a great book for fall. The next one on this list is, of course, Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which I recently just reread in the past couple of months and absolutely adored. This is going to be really annoying, I'm realizing, because if I turn it this way, you can't see the cover. If I turn it this way, it's just completely blinding you, I'm sure. So maybe I'll just hold it over here instead. I'm trying to find the best angle. Anyway, it's not really that important. The point is that this book is immaculate, and I read them in middle school for the first time, but I just reread them over the past couple of months and realized how good Cassandra Clare can really write. In book 1, we follow our main character Tessa in 1870s London. Yeah, Victorian England. And she is going from America to England to try to find her brother Nate. And instead of finding Nate, she finds these two monsters who like capture her and try to make her produce magic for them. And she's like, I have no clue how to do that. What are you talking about? And then she gets saved by these two shadow hunters named Will and Jem. And the story goes from there as they take her to what's called the Institute, where she learns what the shadow hunters are and she gets to know them and become part of their like little found family. This book, I don't even know how to describe it because you only understand it if you've read it before, okay? But the found family and the absolute heart-wrenching emotion that this YA book series pulls out of grown adults, like, it is unfathomable. Again, this is a YA book series that I read when I was a kid, and I didn't understand how deeply emotional and moving this was because it was just about, fighting demons and magic people to me. But on the reread of this entire series, I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is a love triangle, by the way, between Tessa and then Will and Jem. She has to decide which one of the best friends she wants to be with. But I will just say that if you don't like love triangles, still give this one a chance because it does it so well. Trust me, okay? You will enjoy this love triangle. Just trust me. It's going to tear your heart out and rip you into shreds, but it's such a good book. And because of the emotion and the warm feelings and the atmosphere of being in an abandoned church, that's what the Institute is. It's like the abandoned church that the shadow hunters live in, drinking hot tea in Victorian England and walking through rainy, foggy alleyways and stuff like that and fighting demons in the night. Those are the vibes of this, and it honestly is so immaculate. Especially in book 3, which I have on my shelf over there, the writing made me sob my eyes out. She just does things to you with the way that she speaks in her books, and it's just phenomenal. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up about it, but you need to pick up this series if you haven't already. Ignore the love triangle part, ignore the YA part, just trust me, okay? You need to read this season. The next book and the last one in this fantasy category is, of course, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I just read this duology last year. It's been a long time coming for me, and it is so immaculate. Very similar to this last one, and that just the fantasy vibes just give you that cozy autumnal feeling. So in this book we follow six thieves, no, not thieves, I guess just 6 young adults, teenagers, as they complete a heist. So we follow Kaz Brecker's the main character, then he kind of forms a little troupe of 5 other people that he wants to complete this heist with him, and it is just the story of them using magic, but also some of them don't have magic, but in general living in Ketterdam, which is a dark and danky and again foggy, rainy city, trying to uncover secrets and commit a heist and do it successfully in a very well guarded prison. That's what this book is about. And then the second book follows more political scheming and stuff like that, and it's just so good. Very similar to this one. The plot is great, the vibes are great, but the characters are what really is going to ruin you. The writing and the way that the characters are described and how much you feel for them so deeply, even though they are all immensely flawed and some of them can get a little annoying. Kaz, I love Kaz so much, and yet I'm just dude, you are bad at he's bad at communicating, but I love him so dearly because he's just perfection, perfection, and not even in a romantic love interest way, I just have so much care for this character, and he is just so broken, but I love him despite that, and I love everyone else. They all just are the perfect found family group of 6. I just adore them. And very similar to the Clockwork series, I want to reread this duology again, even though I just read it last year. I feel it's just the perfect fantasy to read during fall. And if you disagree, argue with the wall. It's just true. It's just fact. You just have to read this. And everyone talks about this book, but it's because it is worth the hype. Leigh Bardugo Bardugo's writing is so good, and I just love this book and this entire duology. All right, these next couple of books fall into the atmospheric, dark, moody, potentially gothic vibe. So these are the ones that out of this entire list truly scream autumn to me more than any other, and yet still have great plot or great characters and truly are just really, really good books. So starting with Gothicana by Runix, this is a professor-student romance book in a dark, haunted, old school in the mountains / old castle kind of thing. This technically, because it is like teacher, student, academic, could fit in like the academia category I was mentioning earlier, but I'm putting it here in the vibey category instead because just like the name suggests, this book is gothic. I mean, look at this cover, for the love of God. Like, it is screaming dark and spooky and haunted, and it really does give those vibes the entire way through. It's really less about like studying and books and knowledge. It's more about ghosts and finding dead bodies and uncovering mysteries and secret romances with your dark and moody and grumpy piano playing professor. It was honestly really good. I know that this book isn't like the best written ever. I gave it 3.5 stars, by the way, but I still really enjoyed it nonetheless, even though like it wasn't the most immaculate piece of literature I've ever picked up in my entire life. I think that the writing was very easy to consume and the story itself was very addicting. Like, I don't know how much I really was obsessed with either of the main characters. They were good characters, but they weren't like my absolute favorite ever. But what I was curious about was like this magic they were talking about and the old stories of people dying at this school and the ball that they're all dreading. And I was just like, what possibly is this going to come to, you know? And then the guy in this book kind of gives like Snape from Harry Potter, but in like a hot way. Yeah, I was just like really into this when I was reading it. So I recommend this one for sure if you want like a spooky, gothic, kind of magic-y, but also still contemporary vibes of a book. It's definitely a curious one. One that really reminds me of this is Nocticadia by, I think it's Carrie Lake. I really want to read that book. I still haven't yet, but that's a very similar like dark mystery teacher-student romance kind of book. Apparently this is a very niche genre that I'm into, but I still really want to read that one and then maybe compare it to this one. I have picked up this one though, and I recommend it. For the next book on this list, we are going back to Leigh Bardugo, and that is with The Familiar by her. This is her most recent release. I believe this is a standalone book, and I read it last fall, and it was very much the vibe. We follow our main character, I think her name is Luzia. So it's a Z, not a C. By the way, I always just love, look at these end papers. The pomegranate, are you kidding me? It's like perfectly fall. Anyway, but our main character, Luzia, has magical powers, and I think this takes place in like 1500s Spain, so very historical vibes as well. She has magical powers, but you're not supposed to have magical powers, but the people that she works for, because she is like a maidservant for this like couple, this rich couple, they use her magical powers to gain like popularity in the society. They're like, hey, come over to dinner. I have a maid who can do magical tricks and you should come see her. So she basically just allows herself to get like basically taken advantage of because it allows her to make more money and be successful. And we follow her as she meets this person named Santangel, I think his name is. I could be mispronouncing that so bad. I'm trying my best. I don't speak Spanish. And he is portrayed like a vampire in this book. He's not like specifically blood-sucking vampire. That's not like verbatim how they introduce him, but the vibes that he gives off and what he speaks about and the way that he speaks is very vampirish in my opinion. Is that a word? Vampirish? I think it is. Anyway, it was just such a vibe to read this. This one, the plot was interesting, the characters were pretty good, but the atmosphere and the vibe is what really sucked me in, which is really curious because usually that's not what I'm into, but for some reason in this one I really was. And it's honestly not even that long either. It's 360 pages, so it's like a pretty quick and easy read. I did annotate it, by the way. I love how like the colors look on the black sprayed edges. Anywho, I'm getting distracted. The point is that if you want a more historical book, Spanish inspired in the 1500s, about dark magic and vampires kind of, and trying to survive like political scheming and stuff like that as a scullery maid in the 1500s, like what a very overlooked position to be in as the main character. I thought it was very interesting and I gave it 4 stars. So you might really, really like this and just the vibes and the energy that this book gives off. So yeah, Leigh Bardugo's writing always hits, literally never misses, and I recommend it. This next book on this list, I actually put on my winter TBR last year. Oh no, was it my fall one or my winter one? I can't remember. ever. But anyway, after reading it, I decided that it was perfect for fall. The cover looks very wintry, but this gives immaculate fall vibes. And that is For the Wolf by Hannah Grace. This is a book that gets a lot of hate on the internet. People do not like this book. They say it's incredibly boring. And honestly, I get it. I see where you're coming from. I understand what you're talking about. But I disagree, okay? It may have been that this book just hit me at the perfect time in my life. But when I read this book, I was so sucked in and immersed by every single aspect of this that I could not put it down for like the entire weekend that I was reading it. Because I remember specifically, it was a weekend that my family came down and went to a football game, but I just didn't go because I wasn't planning on going in the first place. And I spent the entire day at the hotel just getting food and then reading and absolutely devouring this book. So this is evidently a Red Riding Hood retelling. Say that 5 times fast, oh my gosh. And we follow our main character, Red, which is short for Rhaenyra, I think. She is the second daughter in this like monarchy. And in this kingdom, the first daughter is for the crown. The second daughter is for the wolf, which is basically this monster in the woods that everyone avoids, but they always basically sacrifice the second daughter and say, here, wolf, have her, because someone has to appease the monsters so they don't all come and eat us. There is like an element of religion in this book, by the way, that's like the priestesses and the community of religion in this book is what really emphasizes the whole let's be scared of the wolf thing. But we find out when Red eventually goes to the wolf that the guy is actually really chill. He's really nice. He's grumpy and moody, but he's not going to eat her. And she basically just learns to like him and starts living in this very overgrown, old, rotted stone building / castle in the middle of the forest that has like vines crawling up the sides and like you light every room with a candle. Like those are the vibes, you know? Perfect for fall, absolutely immaculate. And she lives with this guy who has this magic that is overtaking him, and it's just so moody, and the romance is so heavy with the yearning, and the plot is so curious, and you don't know how they're going to fix the issue because it seems like in order to fix the issue someone has got to die, and you're like, well, obviously we don't want that to happen. It's like, what are we gonna do? Honestly, speaking about this book makes me want to read it again. Like, I was looking back at my ratings on Goodreads. I gave this 5 stars when I first read it. It was absolutely immaculate to me. And then I was looking back at the old ratings and I was like, people don't like this book. Like, people actually really dislike this book. They all think it's super boring. Was it really a 5-star read for me? But just like talking about this again, I'm just like, you know what? Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah. And I want to read this again. So this may be a book that I actually reread during this fall. Vibes are immaculate. I don't care what people say on the internet. Just trust me, okay? If you want yearning, if you want fantasy, if you want a little bit of religion in your books, if you want some dark magic, this book is so good and will give you all the cozy feelings. Just trust me, okay? It was absolute perfection for fall. And the last book on this list, and honestly, potentially my personal favorite out of all of the books we talked about today, this one might be number 1. In my opinion, it is the absolute perfect book to read in autumn. It checks every single box, every single one. Before I keep you in suspense for too long, the book I'm talking about is, of course, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This book is honestly life-changing. Every single autumnal checkbox you need to be checked fits with this book. We have cozy, dark, moody, atmospheric vibes. The story follows 7 theater students in this old theater academy, theater school. They're all seniors. They're all performing Shakespeare plays, for the love of God, like murder and love and loss and like tragedy, like those kinds of plays is what they perform. And they absolutely like ooze Shakespeare out of their pores. Like they just talk in Shakespeare, they talk in lyrics, they act like the characters, they fall into their acting so much. It's like, what's it called? Model acting. They let the acting that they do absolutely overtake them. And sometimes you can't even tell if it's like the person or the character that they're playing. But along with like the atmospheric vibes and the Shakespeare element, we also get a murder mystery in this book. So it's like cozy murder thriller. There's also academia in this book because they're studying at a freaking school. Like there's books and candles and tea and all those kinds of vibes and coziness. Our main character Oliver lives in the attic of an old building. Like, for the love of God, it just fits every single box you could possibly want. There are little tidbits of romance in this book that keep you at the edge of your seat, but also there is such deep tragedy in this book that makes you like sob your eyes out. It's just the perfect book for fall. Like, you cannot get better than this, in my opinion. It checks every single box you could possibly want ever. All of the complex relationships, both romantic and platonic and lustful and hated, and all of the confusing overlapping characters in this book and the secrets they all hold from each other and the murder and the mystery that happens in this book. It just is so enticing and absolutely like grips your entire body as you read it. I cannot recommend it any more. It is the perfect book for autumn. It's just perfection. So if you pick one book for this entire list to read this season, make this one be it, okay? Trust me when I say it's short, it's moving, you're going to love it. And the way she weaved in Shakespeare was just incredibly smart, and it's so good. It's so good. So I'll stop yapping. These are all the books that I think you should read during this autumn season. Let me know in the comments below what you're planning on reading this season, or what book you may have read in previous autumns that you think would be a perfect book for me to add to my want to read list this season. As always, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more book videos from me. I have some really exciting fall content planned for the month of September/August/November. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. And if you want to watch my most recent video that I posted last week, I'll have it here on the screen for you to go check out.